Do you want to get better at writing and recording songs? In this video, we're going to go over 5 easy tips to help you improve. I'll even throw an extra one at the end that'll be painful, but effective. Welcome to The Middling Musician. Here you'll find advice and tutorials on songwriting, recording, engineering, and producing. Now let's get into the video. Tip number 1, make bad songs. You will learn more from making 10 bad songs than you will from making one good one. And here's why. You don't get hung up on the small things. If the intent is not to write a masterpiece, then it frees you up to be able to just create. I want you to imagine a world where you spent just as much time creating and recording music as you do watching tutorials like this one. I'm no better than anybody else. I spend hours on YouTube researching and watching tutorials on skills, instruments, genres, techniques that I'll never even get to. But when I flipped a switch and I told myself I would spend as much time making music as I did watching others make it, the more productive I became, the quicker I became at making these bad songs. The more bad songs I made, the more I learned. And all of a sudden, some of the bad songs I was trying to make started to turn into good songs. This came from becoming efficient at skills that I was not good at yet. Not being so hyper-focused on creating the best song I could allowed me to focus on some of the things that I needed to improve on outside of making a masterpiece. I got quicker at EQing. I finally learned how a compressor worked. I started to understand the composition and arrangement of a track. And I learned all of these things in bad songs first. Basically, this is like training for a sport. You have to put in the reps in practice before you actually play the game. The second tip that I want to give you is to make songs with an easy structure. This is verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. You might be saying to yourself, I don't want to be like everybody else. But before you can reinvent the wheel, you have to know how it works first. That song structure is tried and true. Most songs you hear on the radio today follow that structure. This is no accident. It's what our brains want. And in following this very basic structure, you start to actually learn what the roles of different parts of a song are. You find yourself being able to focus on the storytelling aspects in verses. You have your big overarching message in your chorus. The bridge offers this opportunity to have a unique turnaround or a spin on things that you've been talking about so far. And as you learn more about the basic structure that almost all popular songs follow, you start to realize that these limitations can actually spark creativity. How can I differentiate between verse 1 and verse 2? How can I make the chorus really pop and soar above everything else? How can I make a bridge that carries into the last chorus to really finish out things strong? And once you feel really comfortable in this verse, chorus, bridge, chorus structure, you can start to experiment later. Maybe you throw on an extension to verse 2. Maybe you don't even have a bridge at all. Maybe you start a song right off with the chorus. Whatever it is, these experiments will come from a more informed place and will have a greater opportunity to resonate with the listeners. Trust me, try it. There's a reason it works. The third thing that will help you more specifically with recording than songwriting is to practice to a metronome, otherwise known as a click track. This is one of the most important aspects in being able to record yourself in a way that you sound more professional and less like. Getting good at recording to a click track is one of the fastest ways to get your songs to that next level. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Here what you see is a riff that I made and recorded, and in one take I muted the click track and just tried to eyeball it, and in the other one I turned on the click track and recorded it as tightly as I could. Take a listen and hear the difference between something that sounds amateur and something that sounds more professional. That was painful. Now listen to the version that was recorded much tighter. I want to emphasize I changed nothing. No changes to the guitar tones, the bass tones, which drums I was using, anything like that. The only thing that I changed was how tightly I recorded the parts. Hopefully you could hear a distinct difference between the two. And something I want to point out is just how it starts. Listen to the difference and the impact that the first take has versus the second take. And the second take. The second one sounds immediately stronger and more powerful and more concise. That was only from recording the takes tighter. Practice to a metronome and your recording skills will get an arbitrary number times better. Plus, drummers will want to be your friend if you want them to be. Next up is to learn how other instruments work. These days, if you buy a DAW like Logic Pro, you have access to almost any instrument you can imagine right out of the box. It comes with guitar amps, bass amps, drums, synthesizers, pads, all sorts of things. It even has virtual drummers, virtual bassists, virtual guitarists. An entire world of music is at your fingertips just from buying most DAWs. But if you don't know how those instruments work, you won't be able to use them effectively. Basically, you don't want your songs to sound like a guitar player did everything on them. You know who you are. You want your song to sound like it came from a group of well-rounded musicians who knew what they were doing. Case in point, let's listen to that second take I did again with a realistic drum part. The next take I'm about to show you might seem a little extreme, but believe me, I have heard worse. If you break into a guitarist home and get into their DAW, you will find songs that sound like this. So anyway, let's hear what a guitarist might write for a drummer. Ridiculous, but again, not the worst I've heard. Knowing that drummers only have 4 limbs that they can strike a drum or a cymbal with is important. Knowing that a piano player only has 10 fingers, 8 fingers and 2 thumbs. Knowing that a bass doesn't always need to play what the guitar is playing, just an octave lower. Different instruments have different roles and they are all played differently. Understanding that and knowing how they work will take your song's sound and improve it immensely. The 5th tip that we are going to cover today is to work on one thing at a time. Is it ironic that I made a video talking about 6 different things to get better at? Our brains can only engage with a certain number of tasks efficiently. And if we're trying to improve at too many things at once, they either won't improve or they'll do it at a pace that is just way too slow. So, one thing at a time. If you go to YouTube, some of the most popular searches are how to get better at recording, how to get better at songwriting. But the issue is recording and songwriting are not singular skills. They're a collection of thousands of skills accumulated over time. Trying to improve all those skills at one time is a fool's errand. It's impossible. My advice to you is to set effective, actionable goals. Instead of saying, I want to be better at recording, say that I want to be able to record to a click track. I want to understand how EQ works. And instead of saying, I want to be better at songwriting, say, I want to understand what a chorus's role in a song is. Working on one thing at a time and setting actionable, achievable goals will be a far more efficient way to improve your skills overall. At long last, the bonus tip. Find feedback from people other than your friends and bandmates. Most of your friends and family will not tell you that your music sucks, but I will, and so will other people. Finding feedback from unbiased sources is one of the most effective, albeit painful, ways to identify areas for growth. Look for groups on Facebook, find forums online, go to YouTube channels with audio engineers that critique mixes. Some of my favorite that I've seen is Glenn Fricker. He does great live reaction reviews on most Mondays, and while he might be a little harsh, he'll be honest with you and tell you clearly where you could improve at. Another channel that I've seen that I think is great is Trey Xavier's. Granted, if yours isn't great enough, he literally hits a gong and stops the song. However, it's typically for good reason. Point being, you can find places to get unbiased feedback on your songs. You just have to have skin thick enough to be able to take the criticism. To recap real quick, we went over 6 total tips to improve your recording and songwriting. Making bad songs, sticking to easy song structures, practicing to a click track or metronome, learning how multiple instruments work, working on one skill at a time, and finding feedback from people that aren't your friends and family. So go ahead and pick one of these things to work at. My recommendation, first and foremost, get good at playing along to a click track. All the recording advice in the world can't help you if you can't do this. Without this skill, your recordings will always sound amateurish, or you're gonna spend hours upon hours editing your takes. So let me know if you find these tips helpful or if you think I missed anything important. Thank you so much for watching. And again, here at the Middling Musician, we want to provide a space for any musician to learn and grow. So hit like and subscribe and follow along on this journey so we can learn and grow together. Bye.